Hello, 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 hello. How are you? It's so good to be back. I am Natalie Rand, your wellness expert, as well as Ayurvedic practitioner slash yoga and Pilates instructor. I'm so happy to see you back after a lovely summer. I hope you all enjoyed your summer. I did. I had the opportunity to go to India this year, and that was phenomenal. So we'll talk some more about that in the next few series that we do, but we're going to get back to it. So it's been some time. I want to say a couple weeks before or since our last get together. And today I thought, okay, we've already hit fall equinox, so we're slowly going down the path of feeling confused. In California, we don't get leaves just falling to the ground, right? We get fall, like today is a little bit more crispy, depending on where you're located. I happen to be closer to the ocean, so it's a little overcast today. But you'll see that it's been like 80 degrees, and then we'll have these big drops, 20 to 30 degrees, where we feel like it's fall in the evening, sometimes even winter, and then it goes and spikes up heat-wise. So how do we manage this transition? One of the most beautiful ways to do so is, even though it's warm and even though it's getting really hot, instead of going with the extreme, layer, right? Something as simple as layering your clothes. So you can get ready if you tend to run warmer. When you have your day, you can have all of the things on and invite all of the in-between colors. So instead of wearing like a bright orange color, you could have like a burgundy or something in between. And then you can slowly peel off as it heats up and do the same thing to wind down. So really simple tip. You can adjust the feelings that you have just simply through the color of your clothes and layering as we hit the season. And then as the weeks come forward, we'll talk about different things you can incorporate in your diet. Fun fact, I'm going to be entering the doctoral program for Whole Health this October, so I'm excited to share some goodies that I learned there. And then we'll integrate all of these amazing concepts into one. That's the beauty of this all, yeah? So today we're going to get into it and talk more specifically about the back, right? Depending on your body, you may have a tendency to have a little bit more discomfort if you're seated, or you may have a discomfort if you're standing. It just depends on you specifically. But what I'm going to do today is for those of us who have a little bit more of a tendency to be seated, which is a large majority, and many of us are constantly looking down on our phones. I'm going to do some heart opening exercises, things that are going to help open and stretch the front of the pectoral muscles as well as the belly, and strengthen the upper trapezius, rhomboids, deltoids, all those muscles that need tonifying, but they also need stretching, right? So let's get into it. I'll bring you down here with me, and we will make it all happen, right? So one of the cool things I had the opportunity to do while I was away was work with a yoga instructor out in India. And it was a beautiful experience because I was able to take time to really just zoom in on what my personal needs were in my body, which sometimes I do, but often I try to think of everyone as a collective, especially if you are not always practicing. So today, we'll start really simply by just centering ourselves. And as I always say, if you're not comfortable being seated on the ground, feel free to get a little bolster, a cushion, simply a chair, and sit in it. And we'll take the time to take a nice deep inhale. All of the air is going to go into our body as much as we can, as much oxygen as we can contain. And then we'll expel the air out of our mouth with an S sound, just dispelling all the air, trying to get all the toxins and everything to kind of ground us. We'll do that 4 times. And then after the 4th deep inhale and exhale, we're going to add the sound, right? So you kind of just have a sound. You can say you can say you can say no, you can say whatever it is, but just keep the sound like an O-A-U sound, so it's round and there's not much tension. You're fully just engaging, supporting, and releasing. All right, let's start there. Here we go. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 6. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Breathe in, and we're going to do our sound from here. Slowly begin to open your eyes. All right, so we breathe in for 4 counts, we exhale for 6, we inhale for 4, we exhale the sound. So usually, most people think of it as but it's actually A-U-M, right? And really, the goal is not necessarily to say the sound, the goal is to release the face, release the neck and shoulders, and allow all of the parasympathetic nervous system to just find its way to a calm place, all right? So we're gonna move on. We'll stand up here. We're gonna have you stand up if you need a little chair. I'm gonna bring a chair out just in case, so that way you have options, yeah? I'll bring this up a bit so you can see me. All right, just in case you need a chair or something when we start to do these movements. So many of you know a pose called Trikonasana, which is tree pose, right? And generally speaking, when we do the pose, you have one foot that's facing one direction on a long plane, so our legs are open about half the distance of maybe a little bit more than half the distance of our yoga mat. You're gonna reach the arms out to the T shape. One arm's gonna turn over to one side of the room, all right? And then generally speaking, we lean over and we try to get our hand down as low as we can. Now everybody can't get their hand down, so I'm gonna bring this over and give us options, all right? We're literally gonna do this, arms reach out to the side, turn the front leg out, turn the second leg, keep it toward the front. You're gonna inhale, reach the top half of the body over. If you have a chair and this is your max, feel the muscles resist on the floor. So you're almost gonna squeeze or press the feet and resist into the floor. You'll look down toward the floor. If this feels like nothing to you, you can go a little bit further. All right, and then you can bring your chair closer if you need to. All right, you can also use the block. And if that's not enough for you, you can put your hand on your ankle and bring the opposite arm up. Today we'll keep the palm just facing the direction. You don't have to turn it in or out. Just keep it sort of neutral. You'll look up to that arm. Breathe into the right leg. We'll inhale and exhale. And we'll just do 5 breaths here. Into the nose and out to the nose. If you need a little bit more, you can put the fingertips down on the ground. If you feel like it's too much already, you can just walk back up the chair. If it's too hard on your neck, drop the head down toward the floor and enjoy that stretch. One more deep breath, and then bring it on up, right? You have a couple of options here. You always have the option to use the chair. Now, if you don't have a chair and say you're just in an office, I'm gonna do the opposite side and give you another demonstration. You'll use the wall, right? You can bring your body against the wall, both feet against the wall, turn the front leg out, we're doing the opposite side, and then you're gonna lean over and catch what you can. Now, if this is your max, you can put your hand on the wall here and just stretch it out. All right, you can go a little bit lower by putting the hand on the thigh and then reaching the opposite arm up. Squeeze the legs so that way they're not just hanging out and sitting into the bones. You can go lower if it's available to your body, keeping your back as close to the wall as you can. Take a deep inhale. Remember, you're doing 5 breaths here. You should be into 2 breaths at this point. If it's too hard, you can back off. Soften the front knee a little bit so you're not locking the knee. If your neck isn't happy, you can look down toward the floor. If you want more, fingertips can go to the ground. And then bring it all the way back up. All right, so you already have 2 different versions of the same thing, right? So the first version was you can use the chair, you can use the block, or you can use the wall, all right? We're gonna do the same thing for 2 more rounds, and I'll do it with you. And remember, whatever your modification is, and all you're doing is breathing, right? So you can start with the feet together, you can step them apart. If you are already a person that practices Trikonasana in your daily movement. You can jump the legs open into that parallel position, turn the front leg out, lean over, find where you belong today, all right? Using both legs, activate the muscles so they're not hanging out, and breathe 5 breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Give yourself 2 more breaths. Reach the fingertips up to the sky. The hands shouldn't just be hanging out. Really utilize the legs, and then look down and bring the body all the way back up, and you're going to switch sides, all right? We'll do that twice more. Lean it on over, lower the hand, and then reach on up, right? And yes, this is actually great for the lower back, right? Inhale and exhale, right? And your goal is not to curl through the front. Your goal is to lengthen through the waist, all right? And then reach. Remember the neck doesn't have to look up. You can look down if you need to. And exhale. And if you change your mind about keeping your hand down on the floor, you can come up a little bit. Both sides of your waist are trying to stay long. And then bring it all the way out, all right? And come back to center. We'll do the same thing twice more. Use your legs, squeeze into the legs, resist by pushing into the floor so the body is not just hanging out in the bones, right? Gravity is gonna pull you down, so your idea is to push and resist against gravity. Reach all the way out, fingertips down. We'll breathe again. Inhale and exhale, right? Remember your modifications, breathe in. And maybe right now is not the ideal time for you to do this work, right? And if that's the case, you can always come back to the video and then create the modifications that we talked about in the very beginning and bring it back up, all right? And what you'll notice is my legs naturally are hyperextended, so I really got to work so I'm not just locking into my knee. Lean it over, lower down, all right? I should probably go a bit wider for my body. And breathe. If you feel any discomfort in this position, or if you have any issues that are not clear to do this exercise, or if you're not sure, check in with your primary care physician before you start any new exercises. Okay. Last round, all right? And out to the opposite side. Feel the legs resist, push down into the floor. If you're not sure how to resist, you can even keep your knees slightly bent. Reach over, grab what you can, and breathe. And exhale. And what you'll find is both sides of the waist, the diaphragm's opening and closing, you're keeping the pelvic floor muscles engaged. And you're reaching through the arms. The arms are not relaxed. They're not just a shape, but they're actively being used. Your legs are working like crazy. Same thing, opposite side, reach all the way over. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, activate the glutes if you can, right? Sometimes people are standing and they're like, I don't feel that part of my body, right? But sometimes your hamstrings are so tight in this position that it doesn't feel anything like anything other than hamstring stretching, right? And that's okay, right? So you gotta start somewhere, all right? So from here, we're gonna go face the side wall. Now, this is definitely something that if you have a back bend practice, it's wonderful. If you don't do it, right? I have 2 different variations that I'm gonna share with you. The first one today is pressing both feet down into the floor. Feel your feet resist. In fact, today, if you feel like it's too much to keep your legs straight, you can soften the knees, right? If you feel fine, both hands are gonna go behind your back where there's support. So right palm and left palm are literally going across the lower back, and you're gonna lift up, pull the navel in, feel the inner thighs lift. It's almost like you're gonna paint the ceiling with your chest, right? And then come back to the center. And that may be a lot for the average person, right? So if it is, you still have your magical chair here, where you can sit down on the chair and do this even if you're in the office. Hands behind the chair or just on the thighs, and you'll lift up. And you'll lift the chest. Notice how my lower back is not just poking out. I'm really trying to go up, pulling the navel in and lifting up through the top ribs. The ribs are trying to reach the ceiling as my pelvis stays balanced. Push down into the feet and exhale, return. Same thing again. Press the arms into the chair, press the feet, lift up through the waist and start to pitch the body upward and upward. It's like someone's gonna pick you up and up, and you don't go any further back until you can get up higher. And exhale. One more time, breathe and lift all the way up. Push down into the floor, feel the feet press into the floor, and then come back to the center, all right? So that's a nice modification. If you did want to advance it and your back is incredibly flexible, like mine has been, respectfully, right? Because I've done a lot of things and I'm trying to be really kind to myself these days. So you'll press down to the floor just like I did earlier, only thing my knees were bent. Both hands are gonna reach all the way up toward the ceiling. Let them separate slightly and push into the floor. Lift up through the front of the waist. As you push into the legs, you'll go to your max, and today this is as far as I'm gonna go. And I'll lower my hands down to the side of the waist. Breathe in. Let the arms reach up and back. They can come together if it feels appropriate for your body. Exhale, bring the palms toward the center, down. One more time, inhale, lift on up. Feel the inner thighs. Reach the arms back without dumping into the lower body. Push into the floor, press into the floor. And this is not for everyone, right? And relax. So you're strengthening your upper trapezius muscles, your upper back, everything that's in the thoracic spine region on both sides of the back. You'll find that if you're not accustomed to lifting your head, neck, and shoulders, the neck will feel sore and tired and everything else. So that means that's not for you today, right? Then we're going to do side to side. So we'll just work on lateral flexion. Both of the feet are going to go down to the floor. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Push down into the floor. Find the inner thighs lifting. Now there's some pronation, as you can see, in my lower calves. So depending on your body, you don't want to lock back. You see how my legs naturally want to splay out? I have to work the muscles to keep them active in my legs. As I inhale, I'm going to reach the arms all the way up. Both of the palms are going to come together above me. And I'm just going to pull the navel in and start to reach over as I press into both feet. I'm going to look directly in front of me and reach out, and reach out, and reach out. Watching my legs, squeeze the inner thighs and come back up. Natural breathing. Inhale, lengthen through the waist. Feel both feet into the ground. Big toe, pinky toe, inhale, are pressing down on both sides of the body. And exhale, bring it back up. Same thing again, reach it over. And just because you can go lower doesn't mean you need to, right? You still want to honor the rest of the body. Feel what you feel and make a decision based on that. And breathe and lean. And bring it back up. Beautiful, all right? Relax the arms. You should feel a nice stretch. So you're getting every part of the back, right? We started with this beautiful Trikonasana triangle pose. The body's here. You're lengthening through the waist and strengthening both sides of the quadratus lumborum, those parts of the back. And then you're squeezing the navel in to bring it up. So you're going side to side, right? Then we did another variation on the same exercise where the arms reach up and we're utilizing our obliques, transverse abdominal muscles, and our legs. And we're doing it all just to help support and strengthen the back. Help facilitate it, right? And we also worked on upper back muscles, right? Everything here where we activated the leg, utilizing our legs, really helping us activate the back of the hamstrings and underneath the seat, pulling the navel in to lift up through the top of the body. All of the upper posterior muscles are working, and then we use the abdomen to bring everything back, all right? Front, we'll go all the way down to the knees, and very simply sit on our heels. If you can't sit naturally on your heels and it feels not awesome, please don't. All right, I'm going to bring this a little bit further forward for a moment. So from here, letting the back get a nice little stretch without you rounding it. Again, if you need to sit on a chair, please do. Put yourself in a position where your waist and everything stacks. It feels healthy and long, right? The spine has a tendency when you start to hinge the spine forward, if you're hyperextending it, it'll not be ideal, right? And what I mean is two things. One, you can have somebody that is really has hypermobility in their lower sacral area as well as lumbar, or they can be completely neutral and healthy. Then you have the person that naturally sinks down and compresses all of their lower back, and we don't want that, right? We want you, when you're seated, to be in this position, feel the spine nice and long, everything should be stacked, and you're just gonna breathe while you sit on your heels or you sit on your chair. You give yourself nice 3 cleansing breaths, breathing in, and breathing out. And just checking in with your spine. How does it feel after doing those movements? Do you need to minimize? Do you need to challenge yourself more, right? Really feeling what your body needs. All right, inhale again. And exhale. Once again, breathe on in. And out. Great, all right? And from here, we're gonna do camel pose, all right? So if you're not a camel pose person and it's a little bit too much, you're welcome to do a bridge pose where you lie flat on the floor and just let your hips lift. Or you can do the same exercise with a few blocks. So there's a supported bridge, right? Bring these here. If you have blocks, you can start on there. And if not, we're gonna do camel next, right? So a bridge pose, you can just put literally underneath your spine and take 5 breaths while the hips are supported by a block. It's a really beautiful feeling if you've never done it and you don't have any major injuries. It's completely supported. And I recommend having 2 different types of blocks on hand. Some that are a little bit more like styrofoamy, and the others that are wooden are going to be more stabilized, right? You'll have to experiment with that, right? You can always chat me on this thing and ask questions as well, right? Find the inner thighs, pull the navel in, lift the inner thighs, right? So if I'm forward, you have about a little bit wider than the hips distance, and you're going to utilize the legs. So the legs are not just hanging out and you're not dumping in the back. You're lifting up the muscles, lifting up the inner thigh muscles here. So you resist the floor. And from there, hands go behind you like you did earlier while you were standing. And you're pressing down into the shins as if you were standing on 2 feet while you look up. All right? And then you're going to bring it back, right? That's a great place to start. If you have a camel practice, you'll go further, right? So you'll lift up, feel the inner thighs, breathe. Hands are going to be behind you, right? Supporting the lower back. And you're not pushing forward in the hips. You're lifting up. And you're trying to lead with your upper chest. Feel the left and right leg evenly press into the floor to go slightly back. And then exhale, bring it back up. All right? So the front of the abdomen is doing its thing. Same thing again. Breathe and lift it up. All right, feel your upper chest move, feel both shins press into the floor, and exhale, bring it back, all right? The legs are working really strongly, all right? I'm gonna go a little bit further this time. Breathe and lift. I'm gonna reach my right arm back, and then I'm gonna reach my left arm back, and my back says this is okay for right now, right? Fingertips are there. I'm really trying to work my upper chest. And gazing, one arm comes back, my head comes up last, and then have a seat on your heels, all right? So again, if you are not in a position where your back felt healthy, it's a skip, it's a no-brainer, it's not even an option, right? Or you can do the preparatory exercises like we did earlier sitting in the chair, all right? So we'll leave it at that. Generally speaking, if you've done a full 30-minute long practice, you could do 5, 6 of those, slowly warming yourself up, really depending on where you are. Me personally, I need to strengthen that area of my back. I had a lot more use in it, but my body's not the average person, in terms of how much experience it has in those positions, yeah? So now we're gonna do something that everybody loves, and it's a gentle spinal twist, okay? Some call it the universal spinal twist, but I'm going to do a very gentle version, right? So the knees are going to be bent in front of you. You're going to lower your body down, grab behind the hamstrings, and start to articulate the back, pressing down into the floor and lower. The other option is just lying sideways and then lying onto the back, all right? Palms go out to the T shape. You're going to let the knees fall over to one side of the room and just breathe and feel your back and feel the hips and see if there's any tension or anything different than when you first started. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. And what you'll find is this time of year, when the temperature begins to drop, people often will start to feel a little bit of discomfort in the joints if it's sort of cloudy or rainy, and sometimes not, but generally speaking, when it gets colder outside, it tends to be a cooler temperature, a little bit drier. it definitely affects that part of our bones. Ayurvedically speaking, and we'll keep tilting the knees. The knees are just stacked one at a time. There's no exaggeration. There's no extra pressure. You don't need to kick one leg out further. Keep it nice, gentle, and easy, especially if this is your first movement. Hopefully not since the summer break. And one more time, opposite side, and breathe. But Ayurvedically speaking, that air and space quality, when it gets aggravated, when it gets cooler and it gets drier, that's the asti, which are the bones, where the bones, those tissues and those channels in the body can become challenged. And we're kind of going into that lane. That's one of the dhatus, which in Ayurveda is considered, one of the 7 different systems in our body, right? So, how did that go for you? I hope it was really, really good, all right? We'll finish with some really simple breathing. All right, let's bend the knees to the side if it's okay, otherwise you can get your chair again. We'll inhale and reach the one arm up, the one that's away from the depending on which side you're on. I'm going to say right side because I'm on. Both legs are toward my left. I'm going to lean toward the left. I'm going to walk the hands out and stretch very gently in the hip. All right. If you have more flexibility, you can bring one leg out in front of you. You can extend both legs straight. I'm starting nice. Bent knees, purposefully lift up through the top of the waist, and then turn back. All right. And this is actually borrowed from Pilates. This is the person stretch. The merman, mermaid. Look down. Bring it all the way back up. Walk it on out. And I'm deliberately keeping my legs in this position. Take a nice deep breath in the hips. If you feel any discomfort in the back, you can back off and not do this. It's sort of like a little miniature beginning of a pigeon pose, a nice gentle version. All right, we'll swing the legs to the opposite start, starting with both knees bent. If you did on the first side, reach the left arm up. If that was the arm you were using, you're going to lean toward the knees, looking down. Bring that arm right back up and then twist away. And walk the hands out. Very different on one side. Bring it back in. For me at least. Reach that arm up. And look down and lean. Lift all the way up. And look away. Keep that separation here now. Feel the stretch in the opposite leg. Or don't. This side is way more mobile. And one more time. Breathe and look up. And lean it down. Lift that one back up. And walk out. Give yourself a nice stretch here. Good. You should feel a lot different. From here, we're going to swing our legs in front of us and actually in on the back. So allow your body to go all the way down. Curl the spine, release the head. And if you do nothing else, if you did one thing today, do find the position called Shavasana where you lie down, you let the hands and the palms and the feet just release. Give yourself several breaths in this position. It can take about at least a minute or two where you're breathing here and you're exhaling. I'm just feeling the change that you have in your body for gentle acknowledgement. So something very approachable as long as you don't have any real issues in the back. I encourage you to think about everything that you were able to do for yourself. Think about if there was any pushing, if there's any discomfort, what your steps will be to really honor any discomfort and really intentionally thinking about taking care of yourself on a regular basis. And from this position, you're going to take the right knee and bend it. And then take the left knee and bend it. Take a nice deep inhale into the nose. Out through the mouth. And then lie on your right side. Bring that right arm above you. You'll lean over. Give yourself 3 breaths here just to kind of regroup before you get your body up. Even if it was a short Shavasana, which that one was pretty short. You can do Shavasana for like 10 minutes. Good. And then when you're ready, make your way all the way back upright. Cross the legs. And I hope that you enjoyed our short, sweet, gentle reconnect to the back. All right. It's so wonderful to see you all. I'm really excited to share with you this coming season. And I'm looking forward to giving you all kinds of lovely tips to help you manage the change in the season, which we call fall. All right. Have a beautiful day. Until next Thursday, I'll be back at 1 p.m. and I will see you then. Natalie signing off. Ciao.